It is November 5th, Wednesday, in the year 2025. Don't make the mistake that I made this morning. Well, it's an easy correction. I grabbed the 8th of November out of my medicine box instead of the 5th of November, and I took the morning pills out of the 8th. I'll be able to fix that very easily. I'll go take the morning pills out of the 5th of November and put them into the 8th of November and put that back where it should go and continue on with the rest of the 5th of November. I know it sounds confusing, but it's very easy. I just have to change what I took out of the 8th box and put into what I took out of the 8th box and put back from the 5th box that I didn't take. But anyway, for all of you that want to know, my 8 o'clock pills are in my belly the right way that they're supposed to be in my belly. They're just out of the wrong box. Anyway, good morning. We're not drinking coffee this morning. We're going to do it caffeine free. We're going to drink Canada Dry. Actually, Schweppes, because it's better. Schweppes ginger ale is what I'm drinking this morning. So good morning to all of you. Zohan Mamdani from Uganda, and you can decide whether or not that's good or bad, won the New York mayor's race yesterday. Sweeping changes are going to come to New York. Whether they are good, whether or not they're bad, I guess you'll have to see if you're in New York City and possibly follow the rush, leaving New York City and going to someplace more receptive to Republicans and Trump lovers or other Americans that will be disgruntled with how New York City becomes. But you know what? That's all up to you. That's all up to you. I'm just going to harp quickly on it's day 35 of the Schumer shutdown. So your government remains closed. Your House and Senate remain closed. Donald Trump, who is under a judge's order to fix SNAP, can only do it using USDA money that was allocated to SNAP or USDA money that can be allocated to SNAP. He can't use tariff money, which was allocated to other things because it was not originally allocated to SNAP. So as far as Donald Trump goes, his hands are tied. He can't do anything. He's waiting for the government to reopen. He's waiting for the House and Senate to be reopened. And then he's waiting for them to make their decision between the two bodies on whether or not they will let SNAP use that money. It's about $5 billion. They need $9 billion. I don't know for how long the $9 billion carries them, but they need $9 billion to be safe, that we don't go into another shutdown on November 21st that could carry us 35 days like it does today. He's going to hold you hostage because he wants the $1.5 trillion that he knows he can't get. He's going to hold you hostage because he wants the subsidies to be extended on your ACA insurance policy, which I have said so many times. If you look at it, the Republicans are not going to continue it. Say your insurance policy costs you $400 a month and you only pay $1. You pay taxes, $399, that go to your insurance company to sell you a $400 a month insurance policy. And I'm only using that as a number to show you the math. You're paying both ends. You're paying the $1 and you're paying the $399 in subsidies. You're not saving anything. If there were a billion of you that would buy that $400 policy, you'd all go before that insurance company and say, there's a billion of us, you need to bring the price down. 350, 300, 250, 200, 150, 100, I don't know. But that company selling you that policy for $400 a month, yes, they can probably do some work and make it affordable, because it's not affordable the way it is. And President Obama knew that those subsidies would probably not be extended unless there was a Democrat in the White House. So you can blame Donald Trump for not being the Democrat in the White House, although everyone knows he was a Democrat at one time. So you can blame him for being the Republican in the White House who's not a Democrat. He doesn't want you to pay that $399 subsidy. Again, it was an example, but he doesn't want you to pay that anymore. He wants you to save that. I get tired of hearing people who are so anti-Trump, but they don't want to pay income tax anymore. Well, that's something he doesn't want you to pay anymore. He wants to move us to a tariff-based society, living off of the tariffs, getting a residual or whatever you want to call it, dividend check every so often from the tariffs, and you're living pretty good. You still have to work if you're on SNAP. You still have to either do 15 hours of community service or 15 hours of work or 15 hours of going to school. And I hear from people, oh, I can't do that. Well, I throw the math at them and show them you can do it. 15 hours is 5 3-hour days, 3 5-hour days, 2 7.5-hour days, 1 15-hour day. Because some people like to work as much as they can, and they'll work 15 hours in one day if they like their job, which I hope most people do. Because I've always said, when it becomes a job, you don't like it. If you do something you like to do, it can be your job. But, you think about that this morning. Chuck Schumer has to end the shutdown, reopen the government, reopen the House and Senate, because the Senate needs to pass the clean continuing resolution like the House did so that President Trump can sign it. And it's not anything bad. It's something they've done before. The House did it this time. The Senate was supposed to do it this time, and the president's waiting to sign it. So I guess that's Donald Trump's fault, because Chuck Schumer has us locked down. I don't know whether or not that works, because Donald Trump, who is obviously the president and under a judge's order to fix SNAP, can't fix SNAP. So I don't know what the judge is going to say. I don't know if it's a Democrat judge. I don't know if it's a Republican judge or just an honest judge who's going to say, you need to fix it. Because his response is going to be, my hands are tied. Until this guy Schumer shuts down his shutdown and Congress passes everything they need to pass, I can't do anything, because I can't pass SNAP getting more money. I can't pass making sure that SNAP uses their money first and then gets more money from us. I can't do that. I'm the president of the United States, but I can't do certain specific things. And he's already said it would be an honor and a privilege to do this, but he can't. He did give money to WIC, and evidently, I guess, he took tariff money and gave it to WIC, and everybody was okay that he did that. But now a judge has said, no, you can't take tariff money and give it to SNAP because it wasn't SNAP's money to begin with. Keep us closed, keep us shut down because you're not going to get $1.5 trillion of money to go spend as you wish. Stupid. You knew you weren't going to get the money anyway. So that is where we are, day 35 of the Schumer shutdown. Congratulations to Zohan, I guess, because you congratulate the mayor. I really don't know enough about the man to speak about the man other than what I've read and what I've heard. I have talked to a few people that have lived in New York before him and a few people that are still in New York, and it's kind of mixed. And I'm not going to move from where I am in sunny Florida to snowy New York to see how it is in New York, because just dealing with snow would be bad. First thing I asked when we moved to Florida almost 5 years ago was, I asked my grandson, who shovels the snow? And he thought for a minute and said, Matt does. And then I looked at Matt, and Matt said, there's no snow, which I knew, but, it was kind of funny at that moment. But anyway, here we are. We don't have any more money for SNAP. We have $5 billion, according to Caroline Levitt, the press secretary. We have $5 billion of contingency funds available to operate SNAP. It's not going to be enough based, I guess, on the government being shut down for 35 days. SNAP can use its contingency money from USDA to operate SNAP, but they have to get congressional approval to do it. So they're not looking like they stole their own money. So until the Schumer shutdown is closed, and the only way to do that is for Chuck Schumer to say, okay, I'm done. No more shutdown. We reopen the government, we reopen the House, we reopen the Senate, we let them do what they need to do. Or Senate Majority Leader John Thune says, enough is enough. I'm going to use the nuclear option. We have a Republican majority plus a few others that form a majority. And under the nuclear option, the majority passes something. So that would put the clean continuous resolution past. Then the House and the Senate, like I said, could work together and deal with the issue of SNAP not having enough money. They can decide how much money SNAP needs to have and make sure that anything over $5 billion is there. Because actually that paperwork says that in a government shutdown, SNAP can use that money. And like I said, I've been very liberal for a Republican and said anybody, doesn't matter if you're an illegal immigrant, doesn't matter if you're an American who shouldn't be on SNAP, everybody would get a check in November that covers Thanksgiving, and everybody would get a check in December, which hopefully would cover their spending money on your Christmas meal. But January 1st, if you're not supposed to be on SNAP, you don't get a check. And that, unfortunately, is the way it has to be. Because the real way it has to be is that they look at the program and, for lack of putting it any other way, do a doge on it. And if they see that you don't belong on that program, you don't get that money. And it's not even you don't get that money. It's you could end up in jail for getting the money. You could end up having to pay back the money that you got. It's you don't belong on the program. I'm going to give you 2 months for us to prove who belongs on the program and who doesn't belong on the program. And if you don't, then you don't. But then again, moving forward, if you want to be on the program and you qualify to be on the program, and you're an American citizen, either naturalized or born here, you qualify, you're on the program. But there are some requirements. We're not going to keep it as welfare anymore. We're going to make it work fair. Again, you do 15 hours of community service. I'm going to keep saying that until I can say it. I seem to have a problem with getting that word out of my mouth. But 15 hours of community service, or 15 hours of work, or 15 hours of school. Because hopefully you'll get a job when you finish the school. And again, the only thing I haven't heard about is daycare. But I will imagine that daycare will be included if you do one of the 3 criteria to remain on the program. And I imagine that if you're in Section 8 housing, you will remain in Section 8 housing. But if you don't follow any of the criteria and you don't belong on the program, you might not be in Section 8 housing anymore, and you might not get a SNAP check anymore. The days of the American citizen, either naturalized or born American citizen, paying for everybody else, the illegal immigrants that are in this country, are coming to an end. And I'm sorry, but when you came here, you knew that. Okay? The man in charge of the border, Tom Homan, border czar, big guy in ICE, said if you came across that border illegally, you broke the law. So we can go from there. You broke the law. Go see a judge and see what you can work out. You know, sometimes they say you can stay. Sometimes they say you can go. So let's leave it up to the judges to decide, and let's get it done and go on to the next group of people, and either they stay or they go, or you volunteer to go. And stop beating the hell out of ICE people and National Guard people and law enforcement people doing their job. I understand some of you, even Americans, naturalized or citizens, may not like what they're doing, but it's their job to do it. If it was your job to do it, you wouldn't want the rest of America beating you up and getting in your way and going on their computers and doxing them. With where they're going to be. I mean, come on. We can all grow up and we can do this together and we can do it right. You know, Maxine Waters saying, oh, I'm going to come down to the White House with all my friends and I'm going to bring them into the White House because we want to carry out Donald Trump. It doesn't work that way. You try it. The Secret Service will kick you out regardless of the fact that you're a representative in the House of Representatives. You don't even follow the rules of the House of Representatives. You don't live in the district you represent. It's time that things be the way they need to be. She shouldn't even be in the House of Representatives based on how long she's been there. And I don't mean that meanly. I just mean that she spent enough time that she needs to give someone else a turn. Nancy Pelosi, 85 years old, former speaker, now a representative, decided, I'm not going to come back. Basically, good decision. You know, whatever else happens to her is whatever else happens to her. Insider trading, this and that. Hey, that's all on them to prove that she did it and her to admit that she did it. But something is funny if you make $174,000 a year, plus in her case, the bonus for being speaker twice or being a party leader however many times she did that, you can't all of a sudden be worth $264 million based on what you took in. There's something wrong. Or, like I said, you need to teach that trick to all of the Americans so they can take $134,000 a year and the bonuses and make $264,000. Or the average American who makes $17,400 a year can take that and turn it into $264 million. Because then you start complaining that everybody who made $264 million and did it the right way, like Elon Musk, worked every day. And you can see and you can hear it. I mean, he literally slept in his offices so he could make things work. He probably built the car that you're driving. He probably bought the social media network that you use and made changes so that everybody could use it. I vowed I probably wouldn't use it again while it was still Twitter before he changed the name to X and liberated it completely, because Rob Reiner, the actor, the director, we all know, said on a post on, I believe it was Twitter then, if Donald Trump wins the election, I will set myself on fire. Stupid thing to say. Completely stupid thing to say. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, an independent, an American Nazi. I don't really care. It's just stupid. Because he knows that there were people watching that would have watched him say, if Donald Trump doesn't win, I'm going to set myself on fire. And they all thought for a second, well, if my hero says he's going to set himself on fire, if Donald Trump doesn't win, maybe I should set myself on fire. I cannot imagine a person doing that, regardless of who wins or who loses. I could not imagine myself ever doing that, or someone in my family ever doing that. A, they're too smart to do it, but B, I just couldn't fathom anyone actually doing it. Times get bad. We have people that, get elected because it's our turn, because it was your turn last time. Whether or not you screwed it up or did things wrong, that's for the Department of Justice and the courts to decide. And now I see Rob on Facebook, and it scares me that he's going to say something stupid like that again, and people will believe him and follow him and do something that they will regret if they actually did. And I spend a lot of time on Facebook now in some of the groups where I see him going, I'm not going to give you the chance to say something stupid again. I think you owe America an apology for that. I think you need to make sure that people don't actually do what you told them to do, because there are people that will do it. That's what really gets me upset. Chuck Schumer realizing that he's not going to get the $1.5 trillion because the Republicans think that it's to give insurance to illegal immigrants and do other things for illegal immigrants that he doesn't even do for Americans. He's from New York. He doesn't even do things for people in New York on that $1.5 trillion, unless you're an illegal immigrant. You open your mouth in the in the Senate and say, hey, yeah, we need to fund SNAP. Has $5 billion, needs $9 billion. We need to make sure there's an extra $4 billion in the program. And then, like I said, maybe they listen to me, but I doubt they will, and give everybody their check for 2 months and then say, if you don't belong, the checks stop. If you aren't entitled to it, the checks stop. And you get a job, or you go to school, or you do community service. It's not a hard thing to follow. And I apologize to everybody yesterday for Johnny Gage coming into the live chat and just everything I said, he said the opposite. But I only came here to do that. And it was the way that he was doing it, the troll action. I will give you time to say whatever you want to say on a broadcast. I prefer you come on camera and you come on your mic and you say it to everybody rather than sitting in a live chat and hoping people can hear you. Come speak for yourself. If you really want that time, come speak for yourself. Because I don't care if I'm right and you're wrong. You're owed the opportunity to come and speak for yourself. We are here 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30 a.m. On Friday morning, we do, in the first 15-minute segment, Red Friday Morning Caffeine. Remember everyone, remember everybody, everyone deployed. If you're in the military, if you're an ICE personnel right now, if you're a National Guard personnel right now, if you're state and local law enforcement, if you're a first responder, because all of those people do their damnedest to keep this country safe. So we talk about them, talk about their families, and then we go into whatever comes out of my mouth, which hopefully is something that you can use and you can agree with, and or you can talk to Chuck Schumer and get him to agree with, but I doubt it. Day 35 of the Schumer shutdown, and I will call it the Schumer shutdown. I don't care who you are. It is the Charles Schumer shutdown. His Senate minority leader. It is the Chuck Schumer shutdown. He knows what he needs to do. Whether or not he'll ever do it, I honestly don't know. I know he won't do it for me. Why? Because I'm on Social Security, which doesn't pay federal income tax, and I live in Florida, which doesn't pay state income tax. So he's not doing it for me, but he is doing it for the rest of you. He would be doing it for my wife because Donna still works. There's nothing wrong with that. And just like I said yesterday, I don't want to hear anything anymore that, women stay home and get pregnant and have babies and take care of the house. I stay home because I can't work anymore. I take care of what I can around the house while I'm here. So Donna goes out and works, busts her ass. Not going to go into particulars, but works 2 jobs and busts her rear end to make the money that we need on top of the money I make being self-employed, working for Social Security. Which is just as important when you look at a couple and things that have to be paid, who pays what, but it all gets paid. So I don't want to hear about you're unhappy that a male may be the one in the home and a female may be out working. I just don't want to hear it. Both will give your or their children unconditional love in the home. And both will correct them if they're wrong. Not beat them, not abuse them. You know, I will say, like I said yesterday, a slap here and there, yeah, you know, because the first time you get slapped, hopefully you learn you don't want to get slapped again. You know, 5 kids in the Glovin house, we didn't get slapped, we got yelled at. And we got yelled that loud. Then you eventually learned you didn't want to do it again. Or because you were doing something, you really didn't need to do it. Your parents bust their rear ends to put a roof over your head, to feed you, to take care of you. They just ask a little bit of respect here and there. You know, because sometimes if you're just in the basement, living off their internet, playing video games, maybe it's not enough. Anyway, 32 minutes into the program. Like I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Selected Saturday mornings around 10 a.m. and selected Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. That's when we're here. And if there is another time, then maybe we can swap those around and work with you and come up with a good time. There's places in the house I can go and not interrupt anybody. My studio is on my desk, which is between the living room and the kitchen, and that's just what we decided. But I can go into other places in the house and do my thing and not bother them or feel like I'm bothering them, anyone else, and do my thing. And now, because our cat, Agnes, which you've all heard me talk about, big black cat beauty, I call her Halloween Kitty when she stretches every once in a while. But now you might see Agnes on the desk, because Agnes jumped from the couch to the desk yesterday and took a walk around the desk. So who knows? You might see Agnes here, and Agnes might have an interesting point of view sometime. Anyway, I'm Dave Glovin. You're not. Thank you for the privilege of your time. Think about what's going on in America and how you could make it better. If something bad is happening, think about how you can make it good. If something good is happening, make sure you can help make it any better. Because you can. Okay, I got to take this, so we got to say goodbye.